You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
$15 million. That's how much Iman Gadzhi generates every single year with his education company. A cash flow producing behemoth born from his personal brand. At 16 years old, he stumbled into a glitch in the system that would transform his life and give him the power to support his mom, friends, and a community of loyal followers. But what if I told you he accomplished all of this by taking on very little business risk? Would you believe me? In this video, I'll show you behind the scenes of his magic tricks. This is a Redacted Studios documentary. Think of Iman Gadzhi as David Copperfield, and you, his audience. Ask yourself, why would he reveal how the tricks are done? Not only would it be a boring magic show, but even if you knew how he accomplished it, the skill and repetition needed to pull it off wouldn't apply to you. You, the spectator, the consumer, the one being entertained in the audience. You're simply there to watch Iman perform. This is a story of how Iman Gadzhi built his foundation on YouTube, branched out into education, and created a personal brand to impact millions of agency entrepreneurs worldwide. Education designed to break the shackles of 9 to 5 and give you the freedom to control your destiny. Or so it seems. My name is George Tweetsev, and I've generated $15 million in Shopify sales, sold a venture-backed software company, and had the privilege of mentoring and becoming friends with many top names in the industry. My mission is to discover, educate, and mentor talented young entrepreneurs. So if that's you, apply to work one-on-one directly with me. Before the refined version of Iman you see today was born, he was an ambitious young man with a vision. Like many entrepreneurs, he was forced to grow up early and support himself and his mom. He dropped out of high school at only 17 to pursue his business. All the ingredients for self-made success were there. Let's start at the beginning. Iman's origin story from Dagestan. There are Easter eggs hidden throughout the video, and if you stay till the end, you'll see exactly who Iman is behind the scenes. You'll get a three-dimensional point of view into his character, his businesses, and even the counterpoints of those who want to critique and expose his true intentions. All will be revealed in this documentary. Before we continue, I want to let you know what you can expect from me. You can expect an unbiased perspective. I'll showcase both sides and go in depth on important areas as I break down his hero's journey and all of his businesses. By the end, you'll learn just as much about yourself as you have Iman Gadzhi. Iman grew up in a small town called Dagestan in Russia, made famous by Khabib. Up until he was 4 years old, he was raised by his grandparents. He lived in a small town in absolute poverty. His father was an alcoholic and an abusive. These young, formidable years would shape Iman into who he becomes today, a successful businessman, but also a hidden side that would wreak havoc as he progresses throughout his life. The years up until you're 4 years old are truly special. 4 is a unique age. The reason is the long-term memory and the sense of self doesn't get developed until that time. Think about your first memory. It's right around the age of 3, 4. Those years before that are hidden in your subconscious, waiting to shape who you become.
Yeah, basically, Khabib's done a lot for me to explain where I'm from. Before Khabib, no one really knew where Dagestan is. I'm from a place called Dagestan, Russia. Yeah. On both sides, my mom's side as well as my biological father. So, easiest way to explain it for anyone who doesn't know what Dagestan is like. It's like the movie Borat, except not in Kazakhstan, in Russia. Like literally, my grandma's home, which is where I grew up for the first 4 years of my life. There's no toilet. You come outside the house, and my grandfather built the house with his own 2 hands. You come outside, you take a right, you take another right, you probably go down 15 meters, 20 meters, past the chickens, past the cows, past all all the crops and all the vegetables. And then you go in this little hut, you open it, you squat down, you do your business.
So basically my biological father was an alcoholic abusive, and apparently alcoholic abusives are very charming when they're drunk. So my mom was young and naive, and she stayed with him for some time, but when eventually she was pregnant, obviously he's not just affecting one person. At that point he's affecting 2 people, not only giving my mom black eyes and leaving her bloodied and bruised. At that point, he's affecting me as well. And I think that's when my mom really had the courage to finally leave. And I had a very simple, for the first 4 years, I had a very simple childhood. I grew up in a place called Dagestan in Russia. My grandma raised me, which was, my grandma and grandpa, I should say, which was very nice. I was in a little farm that my grandpa built with his own 2 hands. There was no toilet, so you would go take a right, past the chickens and cows.
Black and white TV.
Black and white TV, that whole thing. And, lunch would be a soup made of whatever you could find in the fridge. So the soup would be like potato and leaves and chicken with the bones still in it, like fucking nails, literally anything they could find.
Especially that you remember, right? Because you were 4 years old.
I have a lot of photos and I have those fond memories and, over the years after when I could go back.
At the age of 4 years old, his mom gets into another relationship and they move across the world to live in London with a stepfather, a complicated figure we'll dive deeper into. Now think about this. You spent your first 4 years in absolute poverty, being raised by an abusive father and an absent mother. And now you're moving across the world to live in opulence with a stepfather and to be in the financial center of the world, London. This is either a recipe for success or disaster.
Moving to Chelsea, and I actually went to private school. So it was, if by the age of 5 or 6 the story ended there, it would have been a picture perfect tale. But, very quickly that marriage kind of deteriorated. So long story short, my stepdad stayed with my mom for some tax benefits. He claimed non-tax residency in the UK, and because we were here, he was able to still have quite a few properties and whole complicated stuff. Anyways, long story short.
So there was a benefit for him to stay within the marriage.
Yeah, that was a benefit for him. Benefit for me and my mom was we lived in what was, towards the end, definitely was a very broken home. I kind of mentioned to you earlier, in the last 3 years that I was in my childhood home, there was no warm water, like there was no heating, no warm water. And I said my stepdad was a very complicated character. When he found out I was building a business, he actually cut the Wi-Fi.
Although towards the end, the stepfather would abandon them, leaving Iman to take care of his mother, there's a lot to be said about what his stepfather did to instill a level of discipline, make Iman read, and show him the other side. The side of opulence, the side of being around billionaires and going to the best private school in London. He instilled a level of confidence in Iman that he is able to achieve this level of success too. He was around it. There's no reason why he couldn't be one of them.
My stepdad was a very complicated character. So by the age of 8, I was like, I had to read the entire Dickens works, like fucking Mayor of Casterbridge. I've read that like 12 times.
When you say he was complicated, are you basically saying he used to make you read these books?
He was a full-blown psychopath, like insane dude. I used to have to read those. I used to have to I remember I was even like 5 years old and I dropped the fork, got locked out the house for a few hours. I remember that, or is that I would, because he grew up, he went to boarding school, very strict from the age of 3 years old. So discipline was a big thing for him. I said if I dropped the fork, I'd get locked in the garage for a few hours and I'd be fucking banging the door, begging to let me out. So as I said, it was a quite intense upbringing.
Yeah, that is a bit crazy.
Iman himself credits a lot of the success he had from being around the environment that his stepfather put them in.
Just a quick one there. When you were in private school, were there other kids wealthy or?
No, super well. Yeah. No, I think I went to the most expensive private school, non-boarding, because I said, because my stepdad, obviously when him and my mom were on good terms, he was very, I've dealt with, I've been in some very intense rooms with some very successful people. To this day, he's still probably the only person on earth that scares the shit out of me. Like, this man is insanely charming, insanely intelligent, like the most intelligent person I've ever met.
Yeah.
They had a very, just extremely charming man. So they had a great marriage, and I said, I ended up going to school from the age of like 4 years old, and then just ended up staying there all the way up until the age of 17 when I dropped out.
hanging around billionaire people, much wealthy people, and then you have a wealthy stepdad as well. How did that, do you think that shaped your future?
100%.
And if so, how?
Yeah, 100%, because to me, money wasn't ever really like this big thing, or it wasn't this unattainable thing. One of the most interesting things for me was going to my friend's parents' house and seeing that they, although they had all this external stuff, they had the same level of happiness as going back home to my mom, who used to hide the bank statements from me because she knew how, like, I couldn't sleep all night. I would just think, like, I'd be 13 years old, I'm like, I need to do something. That was also a very interesting lesson for me, because I think, you know, when you come into money at a young age, like, you really, a lot of people go off the rails. And, you know, I've had my phases where I go very crazy and this and that, but I've been very sensible with the moderate level of success that I've achieved. I kept waiting for the perfect time, and it never ever comes. And I see so many people, you know, they want to make a move, they want to take the first step towards their goal.
Iman got his start on Instagram, but quickly realized the value of long-form YouTube content. He started off by making vlogs in a day in the life series, which lasted 2 weeks to begin with.
Alright, hey guys, so today I have chest and triceps. Today's more of a hypertrophy day, so lots of volume, drop sets, supersets, whatnot. Watch a TV show called Suits. That's what it was. It's the only TV show like I watch religiously. It's so good. Season 5 makes me want to cry. Guys, I severely underestimate just how much time, effort, commitment goes into making YouTube videos. I have serious respect for the content creators out there.
Iman quickly realized he needed a purpose for the channel. He wanted to build his body and his mind, so he thought, what better way than showcase the books I'm reading and become a bodybuilding coach?
I've made it quite clear that there's a lot of BS out there in the fitness industry, and one of my goals is sort of to, you know, clear up all the murky water, all the misunderstandings, and all the fallacies just within the whole industry. Especially at a young age, misinformation can have really dangerous consequences.
My personal story is strikingly similar to Iman's, but here's a mistake that I made that Iman did not. He understood the value of building up your personal brand just in time, showcasing the full story, documenting the process from nothing to something. I thought that I should first accomplish something, whether it be drop shipping or starting a brand or starting a software company, and then I would showcase my success and then I would talk about my experiences. But he understood something fundamentally different. He understood the value of documentation so you can use as a later point for a lot of leverage. Let me show you why this is so crucially important. If you build up a repertoire of videos, if you become successful, you can always use them as justification for why you became successful. And if you don't become successful, well, no one even talks about you. So the videos are irrelevant and you can delete them anyways. It's high upside and low downside. If you're a young person watching this video, I urge you to document your life. You never know where you'll end up, and you'll never know just how much leverage you can gain from documenting your story.
What's up guys? Today I'll be showing you how I gained 2,000 followers in 30 days. I started on Instagram maybe 2.5 months ago, and I can honestly say in that 2.5 months, lots of opportunities have popped up, and it's really been just a great decision. I start off one photo, now I have 60 odd, whatever. And yeah, in that 2.5 months, I've gotten sponsorship offers. I've gotten so much feedback. I've gotten people telling me that I inspire and motivate them. And all these things are just amazing for me to hear, and they really just make me quite happy. I've given out advice when asked. I really just tried to help people out with their journey, and I've tried to share mine. And if that's interesting to people, then so be it, and I'm happy they're on my Instagram and enjoying my content. When Instagram first came out, I think it was like 2011 or something, 2010, I'm not quite sure, but I jumped on that within like a year. It's still a really long time, but I grew my personal account to 25K, which was, now it's like nothing. But back then it was a big deal because, you know, I saw the opportunity and I took it, and I learned what the landscape of Instagram looked like at the time. And, you know, since then, Instagram's just kind of become my shit. If you guys want to know how to grow your brand on Instagram, ask me, because I've had one account that's gone 25K, a personal account. I've had, my last account was motivational stuff, and that got to 24K.
As Iman started building up his personal brand, he realized something really early on. He realized the value of education. Not just educating himself, but educating others and making money with it. You could see here how he wants to start training people in online coaching for bodybuilding. And this would quickly transition to teaching people how to become agency owners later on.
2016, there's videos of me and I'm like, oh, I set my goal this year. 2016 was really the first year that I kind of took business seriously. And I started halfway into the year. I remember August, it was after a breakup actually, my first ever breakup. I came back and I was like, okay, time to stop. Because I was reading a bunch of books and I was meditating and I was doing all these positive things. I was like, it's time to fucking make some money. I set the goal, it was end of August, to make 15,000 pounds. And I made 15,000. And I was like, it's just the fucking craziest thing to me. But I've got all this documented. I've got me signing my first client, my first ever like big client, being in their office and being like, hey, this is the founder, Sean.
That's crazy.
From this company, Athlete. I'm in their office and blah, blah, and it's all fucking documented. It's all the way to like signing my first, or hiring my first employee, and my first ever employee joining the company when I was 17 years old. And then 3 days later, he leaves because the work is so boring. Because he thought it was gonna be like a creative, you know, have like months to work on a project, and it was very like technical, like, hey, we need this for clients on this deadline. And him being like, fuck this, I'm leaving. Like, and me just feeling like broken, like, fuck.
Iman was a young hustler, like many of you watching. Any new opportunity that came about, he took action immediately. He didn't ask questions. He simply took the steps needed to see if it was right fit for him and to unlock the opportunities present. In the next section, he understood really quickly the value of Snapchat and building your personal brand across all these new networks that would come about. This is also something that would be extremely powerful at the later part of our story with TikTok Organic.
Things that I want to do will come from this. You know, if this isn't your thing, if you want to go into banking, want to become a lawyer, disregard it. But I know a lot of you guys on here have YouTubes, have Instagram, and the main reason you have to jump on Snapchat is opportunity. But also be out there, guys. Instagram is so diluted. So if there isn't something special about you or something a bit out there or controversial, you'll grow, but you won't spark. So never be afraid to be who you are, and never be afraid to, you know, piss off a few people, I guess you could say.
Iman unlocked a glitch in the system, an upward spiral. His personal brand started growing. When his personal brand started growing, that means he was documenting his life more. Because he was documenting his life, he was consistent in building his mind and his body. And by doing so, he unlocked more opportunities to hang out with Gymshark, David Lade, and to get to his next chapter.
So I've gotten so many DMs, messages saying, you know, do you do online coaching? When will you do online coaching? What are your prices for online coaching? And up until now, I haven't done online coaching, but you know, I feel as though I've done the research. You can look back 2 months and you'll see me, you know, reading NASM, NSCA notes, reading books on everything to do with nutrition and training. I've done my research. I'm ready to jump into online training, online coaching.
Let's go, man. Have a great. It's pretty good. Dude, we have so many cameras around. Okay, Exhibit A.
I'm rocking my personal camera that belongs to me. That belongs to me.
His personal ID.
If you're young and you don't know where to start by simply documenting your life and showcasing that you don't know where to go. By you showcasing that you don't know where to go, you're discovering new moves. You're progressing and taking action in the right direction. Soon enough, opportunities start opening up for you. And once those opportunities start opening up, well, you could pick the right one which matches your personality. Don't be afraid to just start. Thinking about it isn't enough. You have to put it out in the marketplace, let the marketplace judge it for what it is, and now you have a better idea on the next course going forward. Iman took the right steps that I didn't. If you're young, heed his advice.
Man has to take care of everything, has to suffer type of thing. It makes sense. No, it comes from your mom not being able to take care of herself and having as a 10-year-old child, or now I don't know how old you were, having to be the man of the family. You know, that's things I think guys usually don't have to do.
Yeah, you know, I always say you either do something out of inspiration or desperation. And obviously you guys were inspired to do.
I mean, I look back and it all makes sense, and it's all like, wow, I could not have been any better suited for where I am today. You know, going to private school and seeing how the wealthy people operate and how they carry themselves, but then coming home and having that fire of like, you know, it's so funny as well. Like people always try to discredit people who come from good families. Like they're like, oh yeah, but he comes from a good family. I actually think that's more impressive. Like, as in, if you actually go out and make something for yourself, you know, you don't just get a job from your father's connection.
They always say people are hungry. Like, they always say people who come from the bottom are the most hungry. Being
a first-generation immigrant inspired him on a level of hustle, hunger, and gratitude. His stepfather leaving the picture meant that he had to take action, and he stumbled into the best possible opportunity, building your personal brand. Let me tell you why this opportunity is unlike anything else. By building your personal brand and documenting your journey of success, you're building up your mind, your body, and aligning all the business opportunities for your potential future. All these opportunities start to come to you, and you can get to choose exactly which path to take.
Basically, today was my girlfriend's last day in London. She moved back. So that's just something I'm warning you about right now.
Towards the end of high school, Iman would experience another setback, his first heartbreak. His first girlfriend would move away, and he would be left with a decision to make. Either sit home and cry about it, or take the next steps and become even better.
A lot of people are like, oh, wow, 16, you've got this in order, this in order, this in order. I can't believe you're 16, blah, blah, blah. Show your struggles, because you honestly don't know who you could be helping. Just be completely real, and there's someone who could learn from your journey.
There's a consistent pattern in Iman's life. Every single potential setback gives him an opportunity to push even further, and he always takes it.
And I knew it was I always knew it was possible. You know, like people ask me all the time, they're like, you know, did you ever imagine you'd be here? And I'm like 100, like, I'd be like, look, I'd be lying to you if I said I didn't. Like, I knew for a fact, and not like, you know, I would have a moderately, like I knew for a fact I would be worth tens, hundreds, billions. Like, I'm 10 years quicker than what I anticipated my timeline would be.
Yeah.
But I always knew.
We've only covered his younger high school days, but I want to show you for reference just how many videos he's put out and how many videos we've gone through so far. He started out his journey as a bodybuilder, teaching other people how to get in shape. He continued on his journey. He transitioned to a little more cinematic movies. He started communicating with people in Gymshark, hanging out with David Lade, managing his money, taking on a few clients. And right now we're about this part in his chapter. He's around 16 years old. Iman's story isn't one of overnight success. Up until this point, he's put out over 150 YouTube videos and countless other Instagram photos. He started building up his personal brand, gathering opportunities, but he quickly realized that he didn't have the genetic potential to become a bodybuilder. He wasn't as shredded or as big as David Lade, but he had other abilities. A videographer, a communicator, an educator. He had to leverage his unique position and his unique skill set, and that unique skill set was gathering clients for cinematography and for performance marketing. This is the start of him becoming an agency owner and gathering his first taste of real success. Real success equating to between $3,000 and $5,000 a month.
I always struggled with formal education. It was something about just sitting down and learning stuff that I had zero interest in, zero passion in. I just struggled, and I just got more and more frustrated to the point where I couldn't take it anymore. And I'm happy to announce that today is the day where I have my last day at school. I'm officially the 17-year-old high school dropout. All right, guys, Friday night hustle. We're here with Sean at Athlete headquarters. This place is huge.
Because Iman built up his personal brand, he was able to get connected to mentors who shaped his future. One of them was Sean from Athlete, or Genflow as they're known now. Genflow helps creators grow their audiences and helps them launch their own businesses. Mike Thurston, Melissa Wood, and many others. Applications, clothing. These were the perfect mentors that Iman needed in his life to shape his future. And the only reason he was able to get connected with them is because he built up his personal brand and developed the opportunities that would come alongside of it.
Agency is, what is it you're referring to, and what is it exactly do for your clients?
Yeah, so basically what we do at my agency is we work with large e-commerce brands and education companies, and sort of our philosophy is pretty simple. 90% of our revenue comes in from performance. So, we'll have clients coming to us, already used to spending 100K a month, bringing back in 250K a month, and they want to get to $1 million a month. Yeah. So in instances like that, we'll take a small base fee, and then what we do these days is, if historically they have a track record of bringing back 100K, or let's say historically they have a track record of bringing in 150K a month, return on ad spend, then we'll go, the first 150K we make you've already done that yourself. Like, we don't need to take a cut of that. Yeah, for sure. So we'll take a little 20% margin of safety. So we'll say the first 120 we make you is on us. And then from there, we'll take anywhere from, on the low end, 2%, on the high end, especially if it's some education companies where there's no cost of goods sold, we'll take sometimes even up to 15-20%, but it's usually for e-commerce business anywhere from 2 to 5% of whatever we make them on ads minus the ad spend. Some of our clients, we make them $1 million a month return on ad spend, and if you're even taking 2-3% of that, and you have a few, you've got 10-15 clients, it starts to add up.
Now, this past couple months have been crazy. Everything that I envisioned has just kind of manifested, and that's super cool and weird to see at the same time. I've gotten to a place financially where things are going really, really well. Like, this camera is 800 pounds, and I just went and picked it up because I thought it was the right move, and I never would have been able to do that 6 months ago or a year ago. Things have literally blown up for me, and all the hard work that I put in, I'm now reaping the rewards. That said, this is like the first time I'm picking up the camera properly in like 2 weeks, and that's because I'm getting all this new client work, and I'm doing all this marketing and branding and starting to get more clients long term. And what really worries me about that is that I'll forget my own personal brand and where I want to, like, my North Star. Because at the end of the day, like, I don't want to just be selling time for money, and my personal brand is probably like the one thing that I really just want to leverage.
Iman built up his foundation, dropped out of high school, and now he was beginning to accelerate extremely quickly. He had 150 videos under his belt, and he felt confident that whatever happened to him, he could take care of himself. And now the real fun gets started.
Problem with you guys is you think you want something, but you haven't had the context yet to realize what it takes to get there.
I can assure you that I work my face off. I bleed through my eyes sometimes. That amount of work goes into it. I thought, because not much has actually happened this vlog, I would end off with a question that I get a lot, which is, look, how do you stay composed when you're a 17-year-old high school dropout and you are in a boardroom meeting with a company with millions of seed capital?
Although working your face off is important, there's a lot of people who work hard and don't get to where they want to be. You know what's more important? Picking the right vehicle and going down the right direction. And Iman picked the perfect vehicle. Building your personal brand. The reason why it's so important is because this personal brand that he's developing gathers him opportunities for more clients, but not only that, but he gets to showcase him meditating, building his body. It's a full alignment. More money, better health, better mentality, and leverage for the future. These videos are going to come in handy later on.
So I've officially hired my first videographer. He is coming in from America in 2 weeks. I've hired him full time, so basically just to help with the workload. He will shave off around 55% of my workload, and I think this month alone I've signed like 4 new clients. Honestly, 2 dads who just kind of stepped out of my life entirely. My mom single mom, unemployed, just bless her. She's done everything she could for me, and she's always put an opportunity in front of me. But I mean, yeah, just looking back to a year ago, broke as fuck.
One, I want to apologize. I haven't been putting out many videos lately, but that's simply because like the business has just been like scaling super quick. Let me explain to you why I'm looking to get this new apartment. This is the current setup. Ryan's got his fat ass monitor here, his new MacBook Pro. I got my MacBook here. We got just equipment, drone.
He's making his first real money. He's getting clients. He's hiring his first employee. But he quickly realizes something super fundamental. Being an agency owner isn't so fun. You see, servicing clients requires you exchanging your time for money. And he needed to change that quickly.
There's a lot of really cool shit happening, and my goal with this YouTube now is just to document that and just show you guys it's possible. Just show you the sort of lifestyle that I've always really aspired to have. I really do mean this when I say that I want my life to look like a movie in every single way.
He knew that in order to get to the next level, he had to transition the YouTube channel from being a day in the life vlog style to showcasing his personal brand as a movie. Showcasing him going to exotic locations, because this would enable the first part of his magic trick, and it's not to become an agency owner.
A lot of you guys, you see these influencers who then try and make a business out of it. I'm not that. I'm someone who has a business which can then fuel and sustain his personal brand.
The most fundamental tactic in magic is sleight of hand, drawing the attention of an audience member here, when in reality, the trick is happening here. Now, in this case, this is not a knock to Iman, but he quickly realized that being an agency owner sucks. Having to service people, trading your time for money isn't really scalable, and it's operationally challenging. A much simpler path, a much more enjoyable path that also builds up his personal brand and the opportunities that come alongside of it is selling education. Wouldn't you rather sell a $1,000 piece of education that you have to do one time to thousands of people than scale up an organization where you have to service clients every single month and provide them services continuously, managing thousands of employees? The answer is obvious.
I get a lot of praise for the shit I've done at such a young age, but I think the thing that people fail to realize is I just saw the opportunity. The only difference between me and the person to my right or my left was that I capitalized on it. I'm stepping into boardrooms with people who own multi-million pound businesses. Does it faze me? Yeah, sometimes when I think about it, but as I said, where other people saw limitation, I saw an opportunity.
The daily life of an agency owner is boring, monotonous. Iman knew he had to make it sexy. He did make his first money being an agency owner. He does have the skills of performance marketing, videography, and everything else. But he understood fundamentally that this is a bad way to scale up and have the lifestyle that he really enjoys.
So, what I want to talk about today is what I learned creating a six-figure business at the age of 17. About to sit down for work block 1. Now, I don't work in time, in hours. I work in blocks. Now, blocks are 60 minutes. Sometimes they're 90 minutes, but usually I keep them 60 minutes. Now, right now it's 10 o'clock, so I'm gonna do a work block 1, 15-minute break, work block 2, lunch, and then 3 work blocks with 15-minute rest in between. Over the last 8 weeks, I've traveled to 6 different cities, primarily just carrying my computer and a small suitcase. For example, if you decide to start a course and you do it right, so you get a good mailing list, you utilize YouTube, you run some Facebook ads, you get some affiliates involved. I have friends who have made multiple 6 figures just from a course. And that means they can travel, they can teach online, and that is their vehicle.
He's built up his foundation, he showcased that he can make a little bit of money being an agency owner, and he gathered the skills. Now it's time to teach. It's time to start a course.
Summarized in the ebook that I wrote, which is 3 ways to make 100K from your computer. Now, the most prevalent thing I do is obviously IG Media, which is my marketing agency. Now, we're mainly a social media marketing agency, so we do things like Facebook advertising, content creation, we do some email marketing, we build some sales funnels.
Once again, there's full alignment in Iman's life and his business. When he gets clients for performance marketing using Facebook ads, he gathers more skill and more data to transition that for his own opportunities, his own course, and his own affiliate marketing campaigns.
God damn it. I love business.
This was one of the first info products that Iman launched, six-figure SMMA. Here are the success stories. And here is the free ebook that he was giving away to a case study. This case study showcased how he grew his agency and helped e-commerce businesses scale aggressively with paid advertisement. But more importantly, like I mentioned, you have to be an info product owner and grow your personal brand if you want to gain the leverage beyond just being an agency owner. It's much better to teach thousands of people how to become an agency owner than it is to grow an agency towards that $1 million a year plus run rate. It's extremely difficult. Although it's possible to grow your agency, from 0 to 10K a month, it becomes extremely difficult to grow past that because of the operational challenges of employees.
So the rent is $3,300 a month.
That's what next month will be. So, everyone says next month or next year or everything's going to another level. But hopefully with you guys, or hopefully you guys know with me, when I say something, I mean it.
Take it seriously, he did. In that year, 2018, he would become a millionaire. He quickly realized towards the end of 2017 just how lucrative his new opportunity was. Info products. He gathered a little bit of success, he proved the demand, and he knew how to ramp up with paid acquisition. But not only that, but remember, he has his foundation on YouTube. He has over 200 videos at this point. He knows how to communicate, he knows how to do videography, and he knew how to produce an incredible product, an incredible course to teach people how to become agency owners. 2018 would shape up to be one of the best years of Iman's life.
Yeah, guys, let's jump onto the computer and get into it. So, first goal, obviously make $1 million. This time last year, I made 880 pounds, which is I made 1.2K profit. First, I've got tier 1. I will easily make a $1 million profit by by 31st of December 2018. I will easily have 100,000 YouTube subscribers. I will easily meditate 5,000 minutes.
Now, as we continue the story, I want to let you know one thing. I am in no way, shape, or form discounting what Iman is doing with education. In fact, I told you, he's the magician. The skill and repetition needed to perform at his caliber is second to none. I've gone through hundreds of courses, and I can tell you the production value of what he's producing is really quite astonishing. Remember, his background is videography. He has now 200 videos under his belt. He's a professional speaker at this point. He's producing incredible content for the masses. But remember, I think if you're watching this, you're not the masses. You're a talented entrepreneur looking to see behind the scenes how the magic tricks are really done. That's who I'm speaking to. If that's you, work one-on-one directly with me.
The person you really need to compete with is yourself. Because here's the thing, you start getting some success and here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna get, it's not what it's made out to be. I can honestly say that. For me, the biggest, obviously now I'm pushing 7 figures this year. I'm going for that mark and I'm 94.3% sure I'm gonna hit it. As I was making more money than I'd ever made in my life, I was miserable. Honestly, I can say December and January, I've actually been the most unhappy I've ever been, because I thought that just because I'm making money, I can stop doing the things that make me happy, or I can stop living life with gratitude and living life with presence.
Now pay close attention, because Iman is employing his second strategy. Remember the first part of a magician strategy? Sleight of hand, where you misdirect the audience member's attention? Well, the second tactic is to downplay the importance of something else. In this case, to downplay how it would feel to make this much money and all the stress and things that a burden on your shoulder. You don't want to do this. You just want to be an agency owner, making 10, maybe 15K a month, being a freelancer. And again, this is not to discount what Iman Gadzhi is doing. Remember, there's a paradox. When you're speaking to a broad audience, you can't speak in nuanced terms. How can he speak to 1 million people to become Iman Gadzhi and showcase his magic tricks and showcase how to be Iman Gadzhi? In fact, you can't be Iman Gadzhi. The power law states that there's only a few of these types of individuals available. So he speaks to the masses and he reaps the benefit But once again, there's a great alignment because for all of these masses, he's teaching them amazing education. From my perspective, the best kind of community college level of education for becoming an agency owner and taking care of the foundations of your life. But that information isn't going to teach you how to be Iman Gadzhi, how to look at how the magic tricks are done. The reason why you're watching this documentary is in order to figure out, well, how do I become that type of person? How do I really reap the benefits of having a life I could truly control and breaking the shackles of 9 to 5? You can't really break the shackles of 9 to 5 being an agency owner. Maybe you can make a little bit of money, 10, 20, maybe $30,000 a month if you're extremely, extremely talented and build a robust team and things like that. But in order to have true financial abundance and have an alignment where your life and your business are in perfect harmony, well, the only really way to do that is through personal brand, through info products, through things that you can scale up digitally. Produce it one time, scale it to millions of people. That is one of the only fundamental ways to truly do it in a short period of time. It's quite possible to do it with consulting and agency and all these different things on a longer term horizon. But once again, you're exchanging your time for the potential of something. Whereas in his case, he's doing it at the same exact time. As he's building his personal brand, he's gathering all the resources necessary to live a life of abundance and to start this new incredible business and generate $1 million profit in 2018 at the ripe age of 17 to 18 years old.
I'm officially aiming for $2 million in 2018. $2 million profit, that is through my companies. So through social media marketing, and most of that, honestly, this year is going to come through consulting. That's my main focus this year, is high ticket consulting gigs, anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000 per consulting gig, so whether that be a 2-day training, 3-day training, or whatever that may be. Every single night I would go to bed, rest my head on that pillow, and I would go, I'm gonna make $1 million this year, and I would visualize it. I would visualize like the things that I need to do to make it happen. And sitting here in March, I know I'm gonna do it.
It's only 2 months into the year 2018, and Iman is already doubling his goal, trying to go from $1 million profit in the year to over $2 million. Remember, it was just 1 year ago that he made $800 profit in the month. Yet 1 year later, he's making 50 grand a month, and he's aiming to close the year with that much profit, becoming a millionaire. He sees the potential right away with the strategy of selling info products over $1,000, and he knows how to scale this up using Facebook ads. It's already working. People are enjoying the content, and now it's just simply getting on the machine gun and starting to fire away.
So guys, welcome to this video. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you the best social media marketing niches in 2018. Let's get into it. So guys, here it is, the April income report. Now it is actually the 10th of May right now. See how we're doing. So let's start off with make $2 million. Guys, these numbers are going to be updated because we're like 10 days into the month.
Once again, my personal life parallels Iman's life, but in a different way. In 2018, I had my big break. The year prior, I made $2 million drop shipping, but now I had my first big brand. And that year, I would go on to generate $10 million with my brand, which sold iPhone accessories. But here was the difference. Iman's had higher profit margin. He would close in on almost 80 to 90% profit margin on his revenue, whereas I was only closing in at about 20 to 25%. And the difference also was that although there was some enterprise value being generated from my brand, I wasn't building George. So catch me here. Your personal brand is the only lifetime business you have access to. Things like drop shipping or agency or all these other things, they come and go, new trends and new opportunities. Building your name is something that you carry for the rest of your life. And you garner so many opportunities from it. You see, after I finished with that brand, I thought, well, maybe now I should start a personal brand. But I kept postponing it. And remember, each time I postponed it, I'm starting off as a beginner. Even though I have all this experience, he has a head start on me. Because remember, personal brand is the only thing which builds inward. When you build inward, you garner all this opportunity that's presented to you, and you don't have to take on any of it. When you build on a certain direction, whether that's agency or drop shipping or branded e-commerce or software, the moves that get unlocked are within that pathway. They don't really unlock moves in all these other pathways quite easily. But personal brand, if you have the skill set and the connections and the leverage and the money, are able to unlock all of these moves because people present you opportunities. This guy, he's building a software company. He has success. Now you just jump in and you accelerate it. You take your audience, you take your leverage, you take your capital, and boom, you can grow that super quickly. Someone presents you an e-commerce opportunity. You could take it on effectively. You can pick and choose which opportunities to take. Most of these other things take 6, 12 months to really figure out if there's potential within them, and so many crash and burn. And if they do crash and burn, well, he could just wipe his hands clean because that guy is taking on all the time risk. Now, Iman took on the time risk in the beginning to build his personal brand. Now all the opportunities come to him. And this is what I would really stress to you guys. Personal brand is something that is infinitely more powerful because of the moves that it unlocks than all these other types of businesses. It's important to do those types of businesses in order to produce better content and to have something to talk about and to build those fundamental skills. But there is no replacement for a personal brand. A personal brand can do all these things, but all those things can't be a personal brand. So it's kind of like a square could be a rectangle, but a rectangle can't be a square. Do the action that unlocks the most moves, and the probability of your success increases dramatically.
So I've just made my first $1 million profit by the age of 18, which is just focusing entirely on building a system and then removing myself from it. So I have a training and coaching business, and I also have an online advertising agency. One way to get clients pretty much on autopilot is, for example, a webinar funnel where at the end you pitch them your social media marketing services.
Iman had his record-breaking year in 2018, leveraging a very simple funnel. A case study, a webinar, a sales call, and a sale. That was it. But he would take it to the next level a couple of years later for his meteoric rise. I'm talking growing 2 million subscribers in under a year. And the way he did it was taking that same exact model and amplifying it with enormous production value, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to launch 3-day campaigns that would gross tens of millions in one time. We're going to get to that a little bit later down the story. But you could see exactly what happened in 2017 that led up to that monumental year in 2018. And remember, look at how the magic trick is done, not what the magician shows you in front.
2018 was an absolutely amazing year. I made my first $1 million profit. I really started to build a business that I was proud of. Well, 2 businesses, my training business and my agency. With my agency, I get like 5-6 invoices in a month. You know, I only have like 5-6 clients.
You see, his record-breaking year isn't from being an agency owner. Yes, he makes some money being an agency owner and builds up a skill set and hires a couple of employees to manage it in performance marketing, but 90% of the revenue and the opportunity comes from info products. This is extremely important because it's very easily scalable. He even tells you he only has 5 clients in his agency, and those 5 clients, they all came to him because of his personal brand. See, again, there's full alignment in everything that Iman does. One of these quotes that I have is, every time Iman buys his mom a Birkin bag, he just afforded to buy her 2 more. The idea here is that when he buys her a Birkin bag and he shows it in public, more people are drawn to the things that he has. He gets a couple of additional sales. Now the funnel is even more refined, so you can talk about 40 to 80 sales when he makes a big post that gets 200,000 likes. And he just bought her 2 more. Everyone wins. Iman wins, his mom wins, his employees win. And remember, he has an amazing education. He has an amazing product. I'm not discounting anything Iman does. It's world-class. He's a world-class magician. I'm simply showing you how the magic trick is done. That's not to say that you can do it too. He's right. For the vast majority of you, to be a freelance agency is one of the best ways to get to that first 5 to 15K a month. But it's very, very difficult to scale past that. Even him in his record-breaking year had only 5 clients.
So my first goal, which is my financial goal, is £4 million in revenue for my businesses. This quick video on the fall of the education system and why it is a testament to the fact that decentralization works.
In the beginning of 2019, he set his sights even higher to make £4 million in profit that year, a monumental goal. Now, here is where his ideas became a little bit more refined. He started understanding that he has the power to transform the education system. The lackluster education system that's plaguing not just America or the UK, but the entire world. Information is becoming outdated at a faster and faster rate because of the advent of advancing technology, the internet, AI, and everything that's coming alongside of it. He understood his exact role in leveraging social media to take education to the next level and become an authority figure on what it means to be an agency owner in today's society. He is Iman Gadzhi.
In today's video, we're going to be talking about the best social media marketing niches in 2019. Was one hell of a year, from having my first $100,000 a month profit with my agency to really taking what was a course business in 2018 and making it a proper education company in 2019. And I'm referring to growagency.com, to building and financing multiple schools in Nepal. There's hundreds and hundreds of students who get to wake up and go learn at the world-class facilities that I financed this year because of you guys, the incredible community. Everyone that purchases a program from growagency.com. Ladies and gentlemen, if you know anything about me or you've been following me for a long time, you know that for pretty much the last year and a half, 2 years, my saying, you know, the thing I plaster everywhere, what I tell everyone is really that I'm on a mission to reform the education system. It is a very special day. I've spent the last 6 months nearly killing myself to produce a program that would forever end the conversation as to what the best online education company and program is. And, you know, every single day, I was working on my private victories, and it all led up to last night when we launched what was the most legendary and memorable launch campaign for any online program, full stop. And the industry went absolutely fucking crazy.
Towards the end of 2019, he would have an enormous launch party for GYA, Grow Your Agency, and put together an incredible party. But what he didn't know was only a couple of months later would be one of the biggest ordeals he would have to struggle with to date. In fact, I would argue that it's the most pivotal point in Iman Gadzhi's life.
Think about you, you got me talking on smoke. Baby, just she see money all around me. I look like I'm the man. Yeah, but I was down and out like last week. Tell me, where have you been? Yeah, came out of hiding, girl. Don't act like I'm your man. You just a fan. You don't hold ring. Oh, no, no, no. Don't hold no ring. Yeah.
Dirty ass, spilling ass nigga with a sick ass mouth and a slick ass flow. Got your bitch around me, nigga, and I'm playing when I'm coming for the kitty. Got my full goddamn. Do it for my niggas.
Telling him how I'm at one of the weirdest, lowest points I've been at in a while. It's been 3 days since I picked up this camera. I just woke up from a 2-hour power nap. It's like 7:45 now. I got home, I did some work, and I went for a power nap, which basically meant I was meditating, and I'm like, okay, screw this, and I just fell asleep. I'm taking on board so many projects, so many things, getting pulled in so many directions, and trying to work out which way to go. Like, I'm just confused. Like, I'm trying to work out which way to go in life. You know, what things are worth my effort and time and what things aren't. And you know, I'm always like so transparent with you guys. I think that's one of the reasons why I've built up such a good following. There's such an engaged following. And what I need to do is I need to look at what worked before and what am I not doing now. So you gotta start looking at trends and patterns in your life. So right now I can tell you, I haven't been grateful enough. Like, it's so weird. Seriously, I can change a very, very, very minute part of the world with this one thing. With this freaking camera, I can do that. With that and my message and my mentality, I can do that. And I'm taking that for fucking granted. There's literally people, you know, friends or acquaintances coming up to me and telling me, yeah, you know, I watch every single one of your videos. It's incredible. It inspires me and motivates me. I'm getting the longest messages on my Snapchat, on my YouTube saying, I watch this every single day. And there are days where I just want to quit. I want to straight up quit. I want to give in. And it's because of these videos that I don't. And people are saying, you know, I'm your age and I'm looking at some of the stuff you're doing and I'm realizing that there's so much that I can be. And there is so much that you can be and there's so much that I can be. You just gotta push through. And right now, as I said, I'm kind of just stumbling. I'm stumbling in every single direction and I'm just trying to, you know, get a hold and get back to 100%. Because I probably haven't been 100% for maybe 3 months. At points I'm getting at like 70%. And it's incredible because all of this amazing stuff is still happening in my life. All these opportunities are opening up. And I was talking with my friend and we were laughing about how my lows entail still reading a book a week, still meditating every single day, still, you know, growing my personal business. Those are my lows, whereas other people's lows at my age could be getting a serious drug addiction. So I'm so happy for that, and I'm so grateful that I've been able to get my shit together mentally. But message to me, stop taking things for fucking granted.
Remember at the beginning of the story, Iman's first 4 years, his childhood in Dagestan with an abusive father? Well, that transformed him to take responsibility of his life. It forced him to become a man early on, and it became something that he credits his self-made success to. But now, the double edge was rearing its ugly head as he contemplates suicide. This would be his lowest moment yet. Let's see exactly what happens to him.
But, dude, it's starting to get really bad. I just, like over the past 2-3 weeks, I just keep waking up with it. I keep waking up with this crippling anxiety. And, I just don't feel like myself.
I want to read the paragraph that he posted on Instagram because I think it's really well written and it speaks to a lot of people who might be in this position. This is a really tough one for me because from an early age, I've always had to put on a brave face. I always had to be the pillar of strength for my mom, my friends, my team, my clients, customers, etc. Well, last summer, I was the one who needed to be lifted up. My Instagram is just a joke to me. I don't really post serious stuff on here. I leave that for my YouTube. But maybe this message helps someone today. Last summer around this time, I went through an intense bout of depression, anxiety, panic attacks, and suicidal thoughts. There was a period of 3 weeks where it got so bad that I spent the whole day plotting how I was going to end it, without making it seem like a suicide, so that none of my loved ones would feel any sort of grief. I don't know why it came about. Some of my friends say it's stress, but I don't think so because I'm used to it. Maybe it was delayed onset from all the fucked up stuff I went through growing up. People are in awe of what I've been able to accomplish, but don't know about 99% of the unspeakable things my mom and I experienced growing up. That stuff molds a person. Some memories are so sinister, so traumatic, that I genuinely think I've blocked them out. Don't even get me started on the shit my mom experienced before me. Considering how many times she was pushed down the stairs, it's a blessing I'm even here today. I was literally birthed from pain. Even though I've done so much deep trauma work, so much meditation, shamanic medicines, maybe it was some old demons coming back. Who knows? Anyway, I know about 90% of my audience is successful or aspiring entrepreneurs. I just wanted to write this to tell you it's okay to take your brave face off. And most importantly, it's okay to ask for help. To Kieran, Filippo, Josh, Richard, Luca, Bob, and some other people who know who they are, for real, I genuinely don't know if I'd be here without you guys. And finally, I'll never take the grace of God for granted again. I was 8 years old, looking out the window at the sky, begging for God to keep me and my mom safe. I did that for a decade, but then when things got good, I took my faith for granted. Never again. Lots of love. You'll get through it. I think that's an extremely powerful message, and I think that it builds on the hero's journey. The low points, the polarity, that's what makes an amazing story. If it wasn't for that, there wouldn't be any dichotomy. And now he's able to be rebirthed and go to that next level. Here, he would grow over 2 million subscribers in under a year. A meteoric rise.
Really not a good person to fuck with. I have a lot of influence, I have a lot of reach, I have a lot of power, not only in my industry, in many different industries. And if you cross me, quite frankly, it's not gonna work out well for you.
Something that might be taken for granted, but I feel is super important, is that during that time of deep depression, those 3 weeks of crippling anxiety, he still managed to post a YouTube video every other week. Now, this level of consistency and making sure that the rest of his team is still operating, that he seems fine, I think is extremely important and speaks a lot to his character. That whatever the setback is going on in his life, he makes sure to continually stay consistent and not let it deteriorate and put him in a deep spiral. He uses it to bounce back harder than ever. Another thing that showcases Iman's character, the power of his mind, and his ability to bounce back is that during that time of depression, he built a new challenge to run a marathon even though he never did it before. On 1-2 weeks notice, he decided to put his body to the test to see if he really was who he says he is. When he overcame that, he knew that he could do anything, and he set bigger goals than ever before. To do $20 million, to have 500,000 YouTube subscribers, and to buy his mom a house. Let's see exactly what happens next.
This time last week, I had never run more than 7 kilometers in my entire life. And in 11 days, I'm gonna run a marathon.
There is one book above all others that Iman credits for his massive success, and that is Reality Transurfing. He says that he read this book at age 14 and it massively transformed his life. I've read that full book and it's in the description down below completely for free. Now, this book, ironically enough, tells you how to become a magician and create your own reality, to build your own pendulums of energy and attract attention by carving your own path. And that's exactly what Iman has done his whole life. Read the book if you want to know in depth how to utilize these tactics in a metaphysical plane.
Tell us.
I'll let you talk. Tell us about
what is monk mode.
So monk mode is a protocol that I formulated, started in 2019, but started 2020, I started talking about it properly. And it was just very similar to you guys. I like basically go big or go home. I like the extremes. So monk mode is anywhere from 21 to 90 days.
Okay.
You can choose. The thing is, I don't think it's smart for someone to come in who's super sloppy, unfocused, their life's a mess, and just do 75 days or 90 days from the get-go. So I wanted to make it something as short as 21 days. 21 days is really the minimum you want to do. And I wanted to set it so there's minimum variables. So for example, minimum variables or mandatory variables that you have to do is 15 minutes a day of meditation. Because for me, like, there's nothing that's more important than like sitting with yourself and just understanding the demons and the chaos in your brain. You know, exercise, daily exercise. And the other thing is no alcohol or no weed. I know weed is some people are like, oh, it makes me focus. This, cool. I don't know.
The people that say that makes him focus, that's...
I know, sir. You're friends. I personally don't agree. And also, fuck you. This is my protocol. So, no weird. Okay. So, those are like the mandatory variables. And then you can add 1 to 3 others, right? So, one variable may be, okay, you want to pray once a day. Or maybe another variable is you want to do, I've done it before where I do no caffeine just to try that. Or no, a certain amount of screen time per day. Screen isn't on your phone. So you can add all these extra variables so that way you can kind of customize it and it's flexible. Because it said I don't like protocols that are too rigid because it's unrealistic. And the thing I like about monk mode is, bro, even girls are like, oh, are you on monk mode? And like they understand, like it's something that people can understand. Whereas like 75 hard, a girl's not going to be like, oh, are you currently 75 harding? Like, yeah, you know, so monk mode is just something it's easy for people to visualize. And it was
2020 was somewhat of a tumultuous year for Iman. I think it started with the COVID scandal. He went really in depth on the conspiracy theories, and for the most part, he was absolutely correct with his research. But I think what he didn't anticipate was how that negativity was pulling him down. That, combined with isolation, let those inner demons rise to the surface, and I think that's what really triggered that bout of anxiety, that bout of suicidal thoughts. But he never wavered. He continued making videos. He continued pushing forward, making sure that his team, his family, and his friends were okay. Now, towards the end of 2020, he got in shape, he completed his first marathon, and he went into monk mode. Now, he was ready for his biggest rise just yet. In the second half of the story, it's going to get really, really exciting as we start breaking down everything. His move to Dubai, the crypto investments, the NFT projects, and leveraging TikTok organic that Andrew Tate, Luke Belmar, and many others have used to absolutely dominate the online space, generating millions of dollars of impressions for a fraction of the cost. It's about to go down.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I have officially left London, left the UK, and moved to a brand new country.
You say that money cannot buy happiness? Hey, Habibi, come to Dubai.
And final question, and this is one that I got a lot, and that is why Dubai? So I think as a lot of you guys know at this point, I am actually leaving the UK for good.
The COVID fiasco and his bout of depression turned out to be the absolute best thing that could have happened to Iman. Because what this did was it forced him to move out of the UK and go to Dubai. Now, there's a couple of really key reasons why this is so pivotal. One, he moved to Dubai to save on taxes. 0% income tax, 0% capital gains tax. Not only that, but now he started getting into crypto investments. Before that, he didn't have any investments. He kept everything in cash. He had about $3 million in cash saved up. And now he was about to start multiplying. He made a couple of key pivotal decisions at the end of 2020 as he was moving to Dubai that would shape his 2021, making him over $1 million every single month. Absolutely astonishing. It's incredible how this symphony of timing and right decisions put him in a place where amazing things happened. Once again, a potential crazy setback, which is this bout of depression, COVID hitting, isolation. He once again used it to his benefit, never wavering, continuing to push forward and making the right decisions.
A sliding door moment. That moment where the tiniest decision or event in your life changes its course forever. In the film this moment was named after, we got a chance to see how the character's life would have differed if she had caught the train on time. For her, it comes down to love. But in the world of cryptocurrency and investments, it could mean billions.
At the end of 2020, he put in $1.5 million into crypto, buying a couple of key top 20 coins. We're going to walk through exactly what those coins were and what exactly happened in 2021 in order for him to get to $10 to $12 million in crypto positions if he would have sold out. Now, he didn't sell out at the very peak of top, but he did make roughly $5 to $7 million with the couple of coins that we're going to be discussing. And once again, a very similar story to Luke Belmar, which is that he got in at the perfect time, right as the bull market was really raging. And then he sold, went into stable coins at the perfect time, just completing a monumental gain and kind of putting himself in a neutral position, waiting for that next move. We're going to discuss exactly what he went through and all the key decisions that went alongside of it.
For 5 years.
Yeah.
So I had a good few million and kind of stockpiled, and in last year or so I went very heavy on investments, and it's a little less now, but the first 5 months this year, every single month I made $1 million million a month for my investments, mainly in cryptocurrencies.
$1 million a month. $1 million.
So yeah, I'd say probably pre-tax this year I'll do 10. So it's been a good year.
For me, when I say 10 million, that is if I had 2 weeks to liquidate everything, sell everything, what could I have in my bank account?
When Iman invested $1.5 million into cryptocurrency at the end of 2020, he invested only the major coins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a couple of others in his portfolio. This was really an optimal time. Yes, Bitcoin was a little bit higher than when Luke Belmar invested into it, at $100 to $200. It was roughly between $500 and $800. That's when Iman put his money in. Now, over the next 4 to 10 months, it would go between 4 and 5x. And that's exactly what his portfolio did. Now, he invested in one other coin that had somewhat of a lucky break, and we'll dive into that right now. At the time, Iman hired a person to study the markets and guide him on his decision-making process. One of the coins that he decided to invest into was Luna. Luna had somewhat of a tumultuous history. But what happened was that Iman started investing in this coin roughly around this point at the end of 2021. It had this spike downwards, which eliminated about 40% of the portfolio, but then it got back up and he sold everything. It would only be a couple of months later until that really famous fiasco happened and the coin went to zero. In a span of a couple of months, things could change dramatically. But timing is absolutely everything, and making sure that when you see the wave coming, you prepare yourself in the right position to ride it as the normal people, the quote unquote the normies, start coming in. And once you start hearing your Uber driver and the common man telling you about their investment portfolios, that's when you know it's time to sell. When Coinbase is number one on the App Store, that is the number one top signal. So for the next bull run, when you guys see it coming, make sure to position yourself correctly. And when you hear your Uber driver talking about his investment portfolio in Dogecoin, well, you know it's time to sell. Let's start recapping a lot of these moves. So he posted 200 videos, he built up his personal brand, he got his agency running, he used his agency as leverage to continue selling education, he ramped up his education at the same time the agency was growing, he was able to produce more videos. COVID happened, and that really put himself in a position where he started to hate the United Kingdom. And because of that hatred, he moved to Dubai, 0% tax. And as he started moving there, he had all this liquid cash just sitting there idle, and he needed to put it into investments. The bull market was starting. He put $1.5 million at the end of 2020, rode it up to 2021, sold at the perfect time, not the perfect time, but pretty much a perfect time with 3 to 4x gains, taking out his principal, really putting himself in an amazing position. And now he's starting to diversify his income sources. The next thing he's going to do, he's going to start getting into software, funneling his education clients into that software, producing this enterprise level value of a company that could be sold, because education companies really can't be sold. They're based on the name brand of Iman Gadzhi. That's not really so much of a sellable asset. But these other ventures that he's going to go into now, they are sellable assets. And let's dive into Agency Flow, which is now called Flowzy, and see exactly the start of that. And another really pivotal moment, which is he lets go of his agency. At this point, he finally decides, you know what, this is taking up a little too much of my mental time, and it's really not worth it anymore, because I'm ready to double down and be a broad public personality and really start what is now known as Educate. Reforming the education system, something he's been talking about for years and years, but his foundation is ready. His foundation, his team, his capital, his diversification, he's in Dubai. Everything is kind of lining towards this. And remember, he had that big setback with his bout of depression, but that big setback is going to rise up with a massive bounce. And we're going to see just how he starts growing 3 million subscribers and hundreds of millions of views in a span of a year and a half.
All right, there we go. All right. So obviously, you know Pierre, right? Mm-hmm. Like, he was an old client of ours. I think you know about Agency Flow, right? Or a little bit. Okay, perfect.
If we're talking about what it's done for my wealth, then it's not even a question. It has to be the software companies, because you're getting 10 to 15 times revenue And also our margins are so insane because we don't advertise for the software companies, right? So that's in terms of wealth, but in terms of cash flow, the e-learning company has taken off in the last 6 to 9 months in a crazy way.
And do you have any partners in any of these businesses or no?
I have right-hand people that have percentage of profit share in one of my software company. I have a business partner in equity, but apart from that, I have partners, but they get profit.
Yeah. Flowzy aims to be kind of the super app for service-based businesses. A CRM platform, proposals, contracts, invoices, and everything else. Now, he partnered up with someone who was in his agency, he serviced that client, and he knew kind of the foundation of this product. He knew he could market it, and much more importantly, he knew he already had the established audience for this product to service them. And so now he's able to grow this really effectively because all that excess traffic that's coming in from his personal brand, from his education company, is funneling into this. Being able to value this company at 5 to 10x multiple on the revenue is something that is not possible for his other companies. And so although he doesn't really promote this so much, remember, it's all in the back end. It's all in the education company's back end to be able to service the clients who are coming in. And as you can see, it's a $30 a month plan with $12 a month per each additional client. Although this software company isn't really mainstream yet and doesn't have kind of the name brand awareness of Slack, Monday, Pipedrive, Notion, and all these companies, it's still quite a powerful asset for him. And it's going to enable him towards getting to that $100 million a year, $100 million network mark. The skills that Iman built up over the last 4 or 5 years were now ready to showcase him on a broad stage. He had around 100,000 followers on YouTube, but he was ready to take it to the next level. He's ready to take those old concepts of the webinar model and really start expressing it a new way, a high production way, with the launch of Digital Renaissance, Remote Revolution, The Reset, and finally, at the end of the story, The Rescue. We're going to dive deep into the exact tactics that he used and just why these are so powerful for helping him with this meteoric rise.
The stuff, I have an eyewear company, as you guys know.
Yeah.
I've started investing in the last 2 years. I've started investing in maybe 10, 15 different companies because I get so many offers on the table because people know I have money and I have an audience. So I get a lot of offers for to invest in different companies and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll tell you guys, that stuff I kind of keep a little bit more under wraps. Yeah. I'll tell you guys off camera, but a lot of companies that you probably use and have heard of invest stable. And after a couple of years toying with the idea, I was like, finally, you know what, let's do it. And that was the first software company I started in 2020. That thing has taken off. I've bought other software companies since then. Also, the e-learning company has grown as well. It's our #1 way to get customers for the software. So it's cool because we'll get customers for the e-learning, and then because they build their agency and they grow their agency, transition to then they use all my other software companies as well.
Is it the software agency flow? Is it the number one like income source right now or no?
It depends whether you mean cash flow or whether you mean net worth.
The last important thing that Iman did with cryptocurrency is once again leverage his personal brand to launch a new membership club called Gents Croquet Club. It was an NFT project that cost $4,500 to get in. It sold 970 units and gathered about $4.5 million to launch this membership. Now, we'll dive into exactly what that is right now. When Gents Croquet Club launched, it did phenomenally well, but like all things in NFTs, they subsequently went down. Iman transitioned this to a Web2 yearly membership at $10,000 a year. There was a little bit of backlash, but overall, this community is still going strong. As you can see here, here is how the membership looks, and here is the main website. It's a private membership community for the modern gent. You can see how powerful the personal brand becomes. In one post, he could launch a $5 million project and have his team service it. All he did was put out a couple of Instagram posts, organize a couple of things, and boom. Now, it's not just boom. It's all those years of creating this brand. But you can see how you can leverage this brand and have this incredible compounding effect and maneuver in any direction you want. If you want to launch a software company, an e-commerce company, an NFT company, you can maneuver and gather all these opportunities or not take on any if you don't choose. The personal brand is unlike anything else. It builds inward, unlocking opportunities instead of unlocking opportunities in one narrow direction.
I am probably one of the most stoic people you'll ever meet. I just don't feel pressure. I don't know what it is.
It's never got into you like a little wave of Iman, hey, and you're like, no. You really don't give a fuck. You tell me, just look at me straight in the eyes.
Listen, I'll look you straight in the eyes and I'll tell you, I don't feel that. Sometimes what I feel is I feel a little jaded. Sometimes it's not the pressure gets to me, it's the fuck, man, like why? And this maybe happens twice a year where I go, fuck, man, like why me? Like why am I the person who has to do all of this for everyone? You know, because listen, of course everyone sees my life and they see this and that, and yeah, I'm sure I may have some nice things around me, but at the end of the day, like I can almost see from the bottom of my heart, say pretty much everything I do for the people around me. So sometimes I feel that and I go, fuck, man, like why me? And then it usually lasts for like 10 minutes, and then I snap out of it and I remember my favorite book. It's a book called Atlas Shrugged. I actually have it tattooed here on me.
Okay.
Atlas holding up the world.
Okay.
And I realized, as I said, I think some of us do have divine purpose why we're here. I think I was given a certain life because I believe that I'm here for a specific reason. And all of the blessings, like when I feel jaded, I just remember that all the fucking blessings, everything I have around me, everything that all my friends and my team and everyone gets to benefit from, that's because I took the pressure on my shoulders. And it's an honor. Like it should be, you know, I always say it's an honor, not a job. You know, like for me, this shit is an honor, not a job. Feel honored that I get to do this. And yes, it's difficult. Yes, very few people will understand, but that's an honor that was bestowed on me. So I'm grateful for that.
What Iman is doing is so important here. He's creating an identity for himself. He's identifying with that person, Atlas Shrugged, holding up the world on his shoulders. And so this is a really important premise. When you start to identify as someone who does these things, who takes care of their friends, who takes care of their family, who takes care of everyone around, who becomes the man that people look up to and has the burden on his shoulders, the actions start to match because you simply go on autopilot. He's been doing this for years and years. You can look back at the earlier part of the video when he was 16, 17, saying, I can't believe that you're so young, when people are talking about him. Oh my God, Iman, you're so young, yet you've accomplished so much, you're doing all these things. He continually says this within every other video. What he's doing is he's programming himself. He's writing in the code of his neural network to operate in this way. He's literally being the author of his life. And so he's aligning his direction. Here's a really important thing. Although Iman is very selfless, taking care of everyone around him, watch this alignment. He first makes sure to take care of Iman. Everything that Iman does first takes care of Iman. When he goes to set up those schools in Nepal, he makes sure to record it. He makes sure to establish his personal brand even higher. When he takes care of his mom and buys her a Birkin bag and shows it off on his personal brand, everything is aligning so that Iman can make himself better. By him making himself better, by him taking care of Iman first, then his cup can overflow onto everyone else. If he simply tries to help everyone without helping himself, he's going to run himself dry, and he understood that at a very early age. And so the more Iman helps himself, well, the more he can give back. And he understood that fundamental premise. And once again, that premise is found in that reality transurfing book. So down below, make sure you listen to that audiobook. It's really, really powerful. And you're going to understand how he charts his own path, how he becomes this magician where he's leveraging all these skills as a showman of sleight of hand, of downplaying certain scenarios, of appealing to the audience that he's speaking to get them into a certain direction, to get them to feel that being a freelance agency owner is the right path to break free of the shackles of 9 to 5. That's what makes Iman so great. He's able to take kind of an objective, great quality of high quality education to become an agency owner, but he's able to intertwine entertainment, he's able to intertwine lifestyle, and he's able to help everyone around him at the same time. A full alignment across everything. It's really a pleasure to watch.
My entire team, we live well, we have a great life, but I want everyone in 10 years, 15 years, hey, maybe even 5 years, I want us all to be millionaires. And I know everyone in Drake's camp who is there with him for 10 years plus, bro, they're all sitting on multi-millions. It doesn't matter if it's fucking security. They all killed it, right? Because like for me, because of course the entire team should eat. And listen, it's a different story if someone's there for 1 or 2 years or maybe even 3 years, but if someone's been with you for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, like I just really respect and admire the fact that he's still pretty much with everyone he started with. Something that I definitely want to help men with, whether they have a father or not, because that's the other interesting thing is I had no dad, but that meant that I could be the man that I wanted to be. And that's the interesting thing. It's because a lot of people, they may have fathers, but I'm going to be honest, most men aren't exceptional men, and most men don't have good wisdom and don't have good advice. Most men haven't lived a broad enough life and have good enough life experience to truly impart wisdom on their son. So the thing is, if you have a father and your father doesn't think correctly, you may absorb 10%, you may absorb 20%, you may absorb 50% or even 80% of what he believes, and if what he believes is wrong and he is in the right direction or is in the right guidance, well then you're already at a disadvantage. So in a weird way, I almost had a greater advantage.
Iman's been on social media for a long period of time. He understands exactly what to do. He understands that perception is reality. He knows how to cultivate his image. And here comes the third magic trick tactic that he utilizes. I love this one. It's very similar to the second one where he starts to downplay things. But here, he's going to make things effortless. Let's see exactly what I'm talking about.
To enjoy, no, you really don't. And
here's the other thing, because I post stuff on social media, or at least my YouTube is serious. Yeah. My TikTok and other stuff, I don't know, my team just repurposes. My Instagram, to me, don't ever look at my Instagram and take it seriously. Like, my Instagram is literally, sometimes I'm bored and I'm like, okay, cool, let's take some photos. My friends airdrop me and let's post it. I'm not trying to be a good business guy. I'm not trying to tell you how to live life. I'm not trying to give you any value. My Instagram is zero value. It's just, for some people, I guess, motivational because they see the life I live. And, of course, I still post stuff about giving back and what I'm doing and stuff with my mom and this and that. But my Instagram is just like a little shit show. It's just a bunch of photo dumps.
It's a shit show. It's just a bunch of photo dumps. Now, this is the third strategy. It's this effortless nature to him. It's kind of like Roger Federer, where he's doing something so incredibly impressive, yet he makes it feel like, oh, not even breaking a sweat. As his videographer, Alex, is in the background, making sure to get the right angle, making sure that everything is perfect. And then him and his team are making sure that every single photo dump has a perfect cadence to it, a perfect caption, a right edit, a right personality that he wants to showcase. And then he uses that personal Instagram to communicate brand, to communicate status, right? Effortless status. He knows exactly what the hell he's doing. Don't let it fool you. He's making it seem effortless, like, oh, it's just another walk in a park for me. I'm just posting these random photo dumps. But be aware that he knows with precision how each one of those 9 photos in a photo dump are organized to tell a story, to tell a hero's journey. And then he uses all these additional, TikTok and Reels and, oh, my team just posts it. I don't really even know about it. We're going to discuss exactly how he does it. And he does it in a more methodical way than anyone else. Andrew Tate and Luke Belmar, they have random people kind of posting on their behalf. But what Iman does is he makes sure to bring everyone in-house. He has a team to facilitate the brand perception of who Iman is, the status of the value he wants to communicate. And so the third part of the magic trick is a feeling of effortlessness, that it just happens. Who knows? He doesn't know. Now, let me show you the precision in which Iman posts on Instagram. This isn't a random collage of photos, trust me. So there's a cadence to it. Video photo to an idea, another crisp shot, a short video, a selfie, shot with people, aesthetic, casual, and another great idea. So he starts off a lot of his Instagram photos with a fully edited video or a selfie. So kind of a cadence on one of the others. Then it's a short video, unedited, slightly lifestyle, talking to girls from this third-party perspective, almost like paparazzi, riding in the car, just experiencing a nice view. Then this second part, I love this part, the selfie part, right? Hey, I'm Iman, I'm just a normal person like you, I'm nothing special, I relate to a lot of other people. And so here he is posing with a dog. Here he is posting in the mirror, overlooking Cape Town with a llama. I love this one. And then again, a personal one to signify that he is just a regular human being. Then we have some shots with girls, right? Communicating status, shot with his mom, making sure that he is a mama's boy, that he loves his family, and that he would do everything for them. Casual shot, showing off the fit. showing off him at dinner, showing off him with a dog. Aesthetic shot, really communicating status once again, the cars, the scenery, and then there's the ideas, right? So communicating a powerful idea, what the goals are, a letter showing the impact that he's had on other people's lives, showcasing the emotional, vulnerable side to him, a quote. All of these things come together into a hero's journey. These are methodical posts. These are not random one-off photos that just happened. He understands how to do it, and now maybe it is effortless at this point. He's done it so many times. He has 450 videos under his belt. He has petabytes of content. So absolutely. But he also charts his own path, and he makes sure to communicate brand and status of a high-end luxury brand on his Instagram and not use it to be diluted with other things that are spread out across other TikTok and short form content. Think of Iman's Instagram as Hermes or Louis Vuitton. It's signifying high-end luxury, brand, status, sophistication, effortlessness. Look at the quality of the posts. Selfie, high-end video, professional video, kind of a casual aesthetic shot, showing, communicating with his supporters, showing his mom being on a helicopter. There's a cadence, there's a rhythm to the posts. And really everything about the Instagram is to signify status, is to be a place where people view him on a pedestal, that they want to be him. They admire him, they want to be like him. And it's not so much communicating, here's how to do SMMA or all these kind of things. That's for the short form content. That's for the sub accounts. That's for the YouTube channel. That's not for the Instagram. It is just a random collage of photos.
You're here right now, we're talking, bro, there's 20 people trying to be Iman. Or 20,000 maybe is more like it, so it's, and they want exactly what you have. They want the private jet, they want the lifestyle, they want everything that comes with it. So it's like, when you get to a certain point.
Here's something that's very overlooked. It's not simply the quality of the photo of what Iman's doing that makes it so. It's the density and the heritage over time. Think about something like Dior or Hermes, Louis Vuitton. The reason why they're so valuable is because of that history, the 100-year history of how it came to be and all these additional things. That's what makes it so valuable. That's what gives it that status. And so what Iman has done over the last 4 or 5 years is create that density, create that loyal following. Those 100,000 people, right? And so now when people see where Iman is today, he can say, well, look back. Here's where I came from. And so that is the important part. It's this history. It's the density. All of that is so much more important into who Iman is than simply a couple of great photos. And so just replicating a couple of great photos and putting it on Instagram and putting a couple of YouTube videos isn't going to make you Iman. It's the history. It's the heritage. That is the most important part. And so again, if you're young and you're watching this video, I wish I could tell my younger self this. Documenting the journey and building the only lifetime business, which is your personal brand, your name, is the most important thing you could do. I mean, there is no second best. Because any other direction you take, making an agency, making a dropshipping store, a brand, a software company, all of those relegate you to a specific position and only unlock moves within that position, right? And so then you can get stuck into a certain position. And once again, you always become a beginner if you start later on to do your personal brand. But if you simply document the journey, well, again, if success happens, you have it. And if it doesn't happen, well, no one's even looking at your stuff anyway, so it doesn't matter. The upside is so high, the downside is so low. You have to take it. Start now.
So in life, some men get to play by different rules, but you have to earn that right. It's funny, that's actually something that my mother told me many times growing up, and it always stuck with me. Now, if you've ever been to an amusement park, you've probably noticed that there's 2 lines. There's the regular line, where people surprisingly wait for 2-3 hours just to get on a ride and have 3 minutes of fun and enjoyment. And the second one is called the fast track lane, and this is where people skip the queues, skip the lines, and they just go straight into the fun, and they do it as much as they want, however many times they want, and literally just walk by the other 99% that are in line having to wait.
Some men get to play by a different set of rules. They absolutely do. Iman at this point has built up an arsenal of magic tricks. He's ready for the grand finale. The Real Show. A matter of fact, 4 shows every 3 to 6 months. Huge production value. Remote Revolution, Digital Renaissance, The Reset, and finally, The Rescue. By the end, you'll see just how he utilizes this traditional ClickFunnels way of a VSL, a webinar, but he takes it to a whole nother level. You'll see the magic show unfold in front of your eyes.
Listen, I'm not a very smart guy. I don't have an above average IQ, and I'm pretty similar to you. You think we're different, and quite frankly, we're not, and I actually have the YouTube videos to prove it. I have the YouTube videos to prove that I was a 16-year-old kid with acne on my face, not really that well spoken, not much confidence, not much to him. So when I say that me and you, we're not different, I really mean it. I am just someone who has noticed from an early age that most people never purposefully choose their own path to follow. They just walk a path that was put in front of them without ever questioning where that's going to lead them. And I refused to do the same. And if you two are going to take the unconventional path, this is something only you can decide.
In 2022, The Real Show was about to begin. The first one was Remote Revolution. He took the traditional ClickFunnels style approach, but instead of directing traffic from paid advertisement, he leveraged the foundation he had on YouTube and across social media with his Instagram and TikTok organic. He was now ready to drive traffic to a landing page, to reserve your spot, and to make sure that you watch the VSL webinar. But where's this VSL webinar? It's not hidden behind the scenes. It's showcased on YouTube for his millions of subscribers to watch. These 3-part series that we're going to unlock your opportunity to be just like Iman, or so it seems. When speaking to a broad audience, position yourself just like them, an average person who was not only in their position, but you were in a worse position than them, and you were able to transform and live the life you're living now. But was Iman just like an average person? I'd argue he had the ingredients for self-made success, and he utilized that to transform his personal brand. Now, it took all of these years, but from a very early age, he demonstrated talent in this direction. He was well-spoken. He had great clarity on where he wanted to go, and he had that internal hustle to get there. All of that helped shape who he is today, presenting you this opportunity. Now, this opportunity to the masses is just not possible for them to be like Iman. But what Iman can do is leverage his existing skill set, his existing personality, his existing lifestyle to showcase something to the masses that they can actually do. And what they can actually do is get to 5 to 15K a month being an agency owner. And that's who he's appealing to. When you're watching these videos by me, I'm trying to appeal to the behind the scenes. I want you to see how is the magic trick actually done. When Iman is performing in front, I don't want you to be the consumer. I want you to understand how the tricks are happening behind the scenes, so hopefully you could position yourself to be that talented person just like Iman and get those power law results and live the kind of lifestyle that he's demonstrating, not be the person consuming on the other side.
It's true. Today, life for 99% of men is harder than it's ever been. It's a race to the bottom. But you know what else is true? The life for the top 1% of men is better than it has ever been. And the good news is that you get to choose which tribe you want to be a part of. And the bad news is that the window of opportunity is about to close, but listen, because history repeats itself. A few centuries ago, humanity went through 500 years of the Dark Ages where men became weak and emasculated, and it led to some of the worst centuries in human history. Eventually, men got tired of the toxic worldview that had been propagated for centuries and started to become aware of their abilities and strengths. And through this newfound strength, a new type of man arose, and they were called the Renaissance men.
Let me show you just how many things are working behind the scenes to make this a massive success. First of all, he's gathered this audience. He's accruing all of this juice. This juice means people who are becoming indebted to him. Now, how do you become indebted to him? You watch his videos, you consume his content. He's providing you all this upfront value. In a way, he's indebting you, meaning you owe potentially something for the value that he's bestowed upon you before he's asked anything. So he accumulates all of this juice. He waits 3 to 6 months with no call to action. All of his videos have no call to action. Go to my Instagram, watch some videos, but there's nothing to sell you. But then there's a big event. And once again, he's not really selling you on anything but a free YouTube video. In fact, a 4-part Netflix style, amazing high value production videos for absolutely free. Register and be there on time. That's all he asks of you. He collects this email audience and then he squeezes the juice in one small moment, a 3-day window. And then no more. He lets all those people who are very warm leads start to trickle in until they start fizzling out over the next 3 to 6 months. And then another event goes on. And here, this is the second event, the digital renaissance. And again, there's a big brand, there's a big staple piece, which is you're going to become a new renaissance man in the digital age. And he's putting on this incredible performance, this huge high production value, these Netflix style videos, and selling, once again, the Agency Navigator course. Just a better and better version of the product he had 3-4 years ago. Because once again, he's not recreating the wheel, he's making that wheel stronger. He's strengthening the foundation of a service-based business. The vast majority of our economy is a service-based business. 70 to 80% of the economy is service-based businesses. And so he doesn't need to stray away from that. It's a huge, huge market. And now he needs to position himself with the person that you resonate with in order to purchase. And so he builds you up. He builds up all this accrued value. And then in one time he squeezes. I think he does that really, really well. I think someone who overplays it a little bit is someone like Tai Lopez or maybe Kevin David. There's a lot of course people who aren't doing this as effectively as Iman, right? They're using these scarcity tactics and time-based things, but they're doing it way too often and it's not really resonating. Every single time they do it, they kind of squeeze a little bit more juice out. And someone like Kevin David or other people, they might squeeze so much juice out that there's nothing left and the audience is kind of in shambles, right? And so you have to pressure people so much in order to make a purchase. Whereas most of the buyers who are purchasing Iman's course, I would argue they're just paying back the debt that Iman bestowed upon them. When they're consuming all of this content from Iman, they've likely accrued more than $1,000 worth of potential debt that when they buy this program, they're just paying it back. And once again, it's kind of a wash. He doesn't owe them anything. The level of expectation is such that this program is worth it. I will say for $1,000 for how much he offers with an amazing course over these 3-4 years that he's building up, with the one-on-one support from his student success managers, which are commission-based to get them to go to the higher level programs, Apex and otherwise, he's created an incredible funnel. And I'd argue he's the absolute best at this. I don't think there's a comparable. I would give him probably an A in this regard. Someone like Tai Lopez, I think has like B- or C level. You know, there is so much to learn from how well Iman is doing this and building for the long term, squeezing effectively at key moments and making sure that the juice stays in. The brand doesn't get shriveled out.
You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. June 3rd, 2020. The World Economic Forum publishes a video titled The Great Reset. And that very same day, the royal family publishes a video supporting this so-called major global initiative.
We have no alternative because otherwise we will end up having more and more pandemics.
Now, over the coming weeks, multiple videos on the reset were published by the World Economic Forum. And they were starting to get more and more sketchy.
His Excellency Xi Jinping, President of the People's Republic of China.
Major economies should see the world as one community and coordinate the objectives, intensity, and pace of fiscal and monetary policy. And naturally, people started noticing that there was something rather nefarious behind this whole Great Reset initiative. And that begs the question, what are the real intentions behind the reset?
What are their real intentions? This parallels to what is Iman's real intention with the videos that he produces. So, what is the difference between a puppet master and a magician? On one hand, a puppet master is someone deceiving with bad intentions. A magician deceives with good intentions to entertain the audience. Which side is Iman on? And I think this is where his great reset starts.
I used to like Iman Gadzhi a lot, but a few days ago I realized something. Iman said that the Puppet Masters deleted his Digital Renaissance videos, but it's not true. He did that himself. Before I prove that, let me explain why would he lie to millions of people. We all know that Iman is an entrepreneur, which means that he's a competitive guy. He would do everything to get to the top and earn as much money as possible. According to his ideology, smart people use fools to make themselves richer. And that makes a lot of sense. I understand the point, but there's a limit. And Iman has definitely passed it. He doesn't even have any problems with that because his ego is huge.
As Iman was getting ready to launch the reset, what happened was on Instagram, he posted that he was probably going to remove these videos after they launch. Well, mainly because of a scarcity tactic, right? It's like you have to watch them as they come online or I'll just remove them. And he leveraged that by saying, well, these are spewing a little bit of a controversial ideas about the IMF and some type of conspiracy theory, so it's probably best to just remove them on YouTube anyway. But many people didn't catch on to this, and so he then later on started leaning in towards the idea that maybe YouTube took it down. He didn't explicitly say that, but it opened up the door for a massive controversy to take place and from some little kid called Igor to take advantage of it. As people were wondering, why is Iman's videos about the Great Reset taken down? Was it YouTube? What exactly happened? It opened the door for this guy called Igor to make a topic on it. And so he made a video called Iman Gadzhi Lied to You. He is the Puppet Master. And so this video got 650,000 views. And what this also did was it prompted Iman to issue a public apology. The first ever apology he's ever made, and I don't think he'll ever make another one again. The only thing that kind of Iman apologized for was that he leaned into the idea that YouTube took it down as opposed to he took it down as a marketing strategy to increase scarcity. It's a little bit funny, but you can see how perception equals reality. That idea is so powerful. Perception equals reality. Because the level of context is very limited to most people who are just watching and consuming his content, Iman needs to be very careful as he broadens out his audience to craft an image that he wants to display. That's why every Instagram post isn't just a random collection that he puts up, but it's a very methodical way of representing his brand. The same thing with TikTok Organic, the same thing with these big production values. I think he learned his lesson in this regard and he started to reset and reevaluate the transparency that he wants to operate under and to not lean into some people saying a negative thing. So the main thing that he did in this regard was people thought that YouTube took it down as opposed to Iman taking it down, and he leaned into that. And so here he's going to issue an apology, and this kind of resets him. This ordeal resets him and gets him to leapfrog to the next level once again. Every single setback or potential setback just enables Iman to go further. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And so it's so important that as he gets bigger and bigger and bigger, he takes on less risk. He doesn't take on a huge risk. I mean, the people he hires for the short form content to gather millions of views, they cost very little, $1,000 to $2,000 a month. When he puts on this production value, yes, it might cost him $100, $200K, but he knows he can make between $2 and $5 million on a launch. Every single move is rather calculated. He's already accrued all this cash reserve. He's living in Dubai with zero tax. Each move isn't really that risky. And so he understands that in order to compound, he can't eliminate risk, but he can manage risk. That's a very important statement. Manage risk correctly to ensure long-term compounding gains. And don't take outsized bets because at any moment, something bad can happen and the luck of the draw could go against you.
Not revealing everything. The biggest part of his Digital Renaissance course is Agency Navigator. And the Agency Navigator course is basically a summary of the Millionaire Fastlane book. The main difference is that the book is for $28. One of the first things that you learn from this book is that online gurus' money-making methods won't make anyone rich. Selling them will.
Ladies and gentlemen, I f***ed up, and I'm sorry, because I try to perception manage. And for 90% of you watching this, what I'm about to tell you will not seem like a big deal at all. But for the other 10% of you, I feel like 7 years of goodwill and trust was erased in just a second.
And quite frankly, that sits incredibly heavy on my heart. So let me explain what happened.
So with one small thing, it opened the door for a 16-year-old Igor to make one YouTube video, gather 500,000 views, and get Iman Gadzhi to issue an apology video. I mean, you could see just how crazy perception equals reality. You could take one small thing, blow it out of proportion, gather all this misdirection of context, and cause a big ruckus. Now, just like Iman said, maybe this isn't a big deal, but it lost a lot of trust with people. And I think that's accurate. I think he learned that even if he doesn't think it's a big deal, other people might. And for the vast majority of people, they don't have the context of 6-7 years of who Iman Gadzhi is, or to know his true intentions behind the scenes, or all these other things. What they have to work with is a video they're looking at. That's the context they're operating under. And so he understands potentially just how surface level the vast majority of his audience is, and he needs to be even more careful with how he perception manages. I mean, the irony of the video is he's sorry he perception managed, but in reality, he understands we have to perception manage even better. We were not good enough. The magic show wasn't good enough. And we opened up the door for this little 16-year-old kid to cause a massive destruction to my brand. And so he just needs to move forward, learn his lesson. And really the only lesson there to learn is that as you get bigger, the consequences also magnify. And so lead with transparency and position yourself in such a way that even if there are problems, the problems can cause a cascade of residual impact. The irony is this kid issued a secondary video saying just how much Iman means to him and how much he's inspired him over time. Let's take a listen.
I'm his big fan since January, and in general I've been red-pilled for over a year now. I agree with 80 to 90% of what Andrew Tate, Iman Gadzhi, Hamza, Sneeko and other people say. They've had a very positive impact on me over the last year. I went from being a depressed instant gratification addict to having a top life compared to other 15-year-olds. Over the last year I flipped my life 180 degrees, and Iman helped me do that. So why did I criticize him so much? Well, I left you a hint in my last video. Don't trust everything that people say on the internet, because at the end of the day, everyone wants to make money. I was acting. I played the role of a journalist. You definitely know how after they find a topic, they try to make an incredibly scary and interesting story to get their article insanely popular all over the world.
Everyone puts on a show. Everyone is self-interested. But what is the difference between a puppet master, someone deceiving with ill intentions, and a magician, someone deceiving with good intentions, to entertain, to gather people in a specific direction, to educate them properly? If we objectively look at what Iman Gadzhi is doing to the millions of agency entrepreneurs, and I think from my point of view, he's had a massive positive impact on those who are aspiring to become entrepreneurs, aspiring to become agency owners, and really showcased an A-level quality of how you run an education company. Like I mentioned, there are many, many people who have tried to run an education company, and many of them have just not performed to the level of Iman Gadzhi. And from my point of view, reason why he was able to be so good is because he continually invested in Iman first, made strategic decisions, and built up a very dense foundation. 450 YouTube videos. I mean, that's an insane number. Those aren't shorts, those are just YouTube videos. The next part is we'll see just what his mission is. He wants to be a father figure to many. He's only 23 years old. He's getting ready to launch probably his biggest event, The Rescue. And he's trying to rescue you from the 9-to-5, from the traditional education system, to lead you into his direction. We'll evaluate whether or not that direction is as good as he says it is.
Why I think I'm here is to take care of, at first it was my mom, and it was my friends, and then it was my company, and then it was my philanthropy, and then now I feel like it's the greater good of the world. And I just don't prioritize happiness, because for me, I think you can prioritize happiness, but in a way it's almost very selfish. Because by the way, listen, like men need to step up and they need to do things where they want to do it at all. Like I would find it disrespectful to ask someone who's in the middle of a war, are you happy? It's like, does it really fucking matter? You're doing what you need to do.
There's nothing material that could give me pleasure anymore. Like, because when you, and fair enough, you know, I can't buy the yachts I want to buy, and I couldn't buy, well, actually, then again, yeah, probably I could buy any car that I want. So when you know that, it kind of takes the joy away from stuff. Yeah. So it's like, you know, like I remember like, I remember even just being like 16 and like, you know, buying a 60-pound Kindle and like, you know, checking on Amazon, like seeing how far away it is, and it comes and like I open it so slowly and it's like my prized possession and this and that, and like, you know, when the whole world opens up to you financially, like that's a part of your life that you never really get enjoyment from ever again.
Material possessions can only go so far. And so now the next chapter is mission, gathering influence, gathering control, and speaking your truth. Speaking Iman's truth is he wants to reform the education system. He understands that there are talented entrepreneurs who need a different level of education that online can provide. And so not only is he making schools in Nepal, but he's transforming it on this broad basis to millions of people who get to watch these high production YouTube videos and decide whether or not to take the service-based approach and become an agency owner. And so let's dive into the introduction to the rescue.
Restaurant the rest of your life. Perhaps you should get used to the sound of this. Better you learn this script. From six-figure SMMA to grow your agency to agency navigator, and now to educate in the release of the rescue. Reserve your spot. We've come to the end of the documentary. You have a three-dimensional perspective on the character of Iman Gadzhi, his businesses, and his true intention. Everything has been exposed for you to make your decision. Is he a puppet master with ill intentions? Or is he a magician, deceiving with good intentions, gathering support for his direction of what an education system could be, his unique truth? I'll leave you with this. The truth is more malleable than you know.
So this is something I've been researching quite a lot the last few months because of my event that I'm launching at the end of this month, The Rescue. I've been looking into the education system, and genuinely, it's crazy to look at how much harm the modern education system has caused and how different it was 2,000 years ago. 2,000 years ago, there was really 5 principles for education, and this is basically what I talk about in The Rescue. And by the way, whether you're in school or university or whatever or not, this still affects you, because fundamentally we have never been taught how to learn or how to succeed. And I genuinely think that was probably one of my biggest advantages, the fact that I dropped out of school when I was 17 years old, because I learned how to learn in the real world, like how to actually win and succeed in the real world. So anyways, at first I thought that was what the series was going to be about, an investigation into the education system, and that is a portion of it. But the other half of it just turned into how to think. Like, what are these 5 principles that were taught thousands of years ago when you were being educated? And these 5 principles that literally produced some of the greatest minds in history, and were just long forgotten about. And instead they have you sitting in rows reciting shit that you will never use. I didn't want this to turn into a rant. This is gonna turn into a rant, I can tell, yeah. Listen, I'm in a very ironic situation where I dropped out of school at the age of 17. I already had a business, I already had employees when I dropped out of school. But when I was 19, I started building schools. So like, I've built schools, half a dozen schools for thousands and thousands of children, all with my personal money, because I believe in education, and I believe in the school system for some people. But I'm gonna be very honest with you, if you wanna thrive, I don't mean survive. And by the way, at some point, at a certain stage in life, you do just need to survive. But I mean, if you wanna thrive, if you wanna win big, the education system not only is not gonna teach you anything, it will actively hold you back. And as I said, this is coming from someone who builds schools with his own money. If you want to survive. But if you want to thrive, it's all in these 5 principles. So long story short, the modern education system is a fucking scam. And this is coming from someone who has literally built schools for thousands of children. Sorry, schools. Admission is free. So can't be a scam in that case. But nonetheless, I feel like I am in this unique position where I've just had so many people ask me, like, how did you accomplish what you accomplished? And I can never really pinpoint exactly what it was. It was kind of hard to explain until I really started to deep dive into the education system and what it was 2,000 years ago, and what these 5 principles were, and how it was so weird that I was applying them without even realizing it at the time. And that kind of became like the main topic, or the main focus point of the series, The Rescue. So yeah, it's been cool. It's been cool to work on it. I'm definitely excited for you guys to see it.
Better you learn this curriculum, or you'll be working at a fast food restaurant the rest of your life. Perhaps you should get used to the sound of this.